I did want to chime in on this just a little bit more. Again, reiterating myself, repeating myself, topics that I've been covering for a better part of a decade. You can find old videos of me discussing this, not just on this channel, but other various material that I had out there when I would discuss the topic of what people deem as gun rights. And centrists, which I despise for the better part, because take a fucking position, you clown. And I think there's a people that think being in the center of maybe two dominating positions, they think that there's some sort of glory in being there, sandwiched between these guys. Like, right, well, you're both wrong, and both of you are a little right as well. We just need to, like, shut up, and please, because when one party is right and the other party is wrong, there is no fucking compromise, right, to be made. I've seen this, and you've probably seen this pertaining to this subject of gun rights because of what's happened over these, last couple of days, definitely with the shooting out of Texas, school shooting. And you hear people say, well, there's got to be a compromise, something in between. Both extremes are wrong. There's got to be a way to, have some sort of gun rights, but also not have these types of weapons. Basically, they're chicken shit leftists that want to disarm the populace, but they don't want to be associated with them. So they think, well, if we just meet in the middle and compromise. Shut up. Okay, so the other party is wrong. There's nothing up for dispute here. If you are an advocate of gun control, you're an advocate that is on the wrong side of the issue. You want to disarm the populace. You want to make it more difficult for them to be able to get weaponry or certain kinds of weaponry, while also allowing the state, of course, to obtain that type of weaponry and have it. The folks that, of course, stood outside for 40 minutes to an hour as people's kids were slaughtered. Those are the folks that you would rather have them, those certain type of weaponry that you're not even knowledgeable on. When I hear people gripe about like semi-automatic, like that, they don't understand what that term means, not understanding that really embodies the vast majority of the types of, let's say, firearms that are out there on the streets. Anyway, but they don't know the difference. They're just repeating what someone else said. So they think, well, AR-15, weapons of war, they use these types of generic, vague positions. They don't even know, because they've never bought a weapon, the amount of hoops that you have to go through anyway. Right now, I've made the argument that we need to be alleviating those. We need to be getting on the offense. Why is it that certain people have to wait a certain amount of days before they can get a gun, depending on where they live or what the bullshit background check revealed, and they want you to wait for whatever reason? Like, that type of shit needs to be eliminated. We don't need more of it. It needs to be eliminated. But a lot of what they advocate is already on the books anyway, like the background checks and all of that. But they're too stupid to understand that. So the centrists, as well as the leftists, want you to compromise in some given area. But there's nothing to compromise on because, again, you're wrong. Said this many, many times. All gun laws are infringements. Every single one. Now, I get it. You are one of those, we have to do something. And I've said that in order to solve this issue, you're going to have to look in the mirror, number one. But it's also cultural problems that have to be acknowledged and that a lot of you have attributed to that have nothing to do with the guns themselves. Obviously, I'm an owner of rifles. My rifles have not walked up out of here and went to kill someone, and I have not killed anyone. So all you want to advocate is for people. You may want some arbitrary, we mean more thorough background checks, which basically means punishing people that had nothing to do with nothing. That's all that it amounts to. They like to think that it's pretty and it's simple. It's never been like that. What it inevitably speaking, there are going to be innocent people that are going to have their rights impeded upon in some sort of way by whatever it is that they're advocating. This idea that you can just pass a law or throw money at the problem and it's going to be solved is hilarious. But certainly politicians will use it to their advantage. We're going to have X, even on the subject of mental health. It's, we want to dedicate X millions of dollars to mental health, and that looks good and everybody votes for it, and then the money gets pissed away, and it's effectively money laundering because it never solves any sort of issue. I'd argue that many of you guys attribute to this problem, this doom and gloom, for example, that you spread over the last couple years. You wonder why people crazy as fuck. You give them nothing to strive for. In fact, you tell them that the quote unquote American dream is dead. It's not a thing. And you wonder why people, especially young people, are fucking miserable. You confuse them with this gender bullshit and all sorts of other aspects of social justice, where you tell folks because of their color, they're deemed to be one sort of way, or their life is going to on a trajectory that has nothing that they can't control. You wonder why a lot of these young people are miserable. This is a lifestyle. This is a culture that you cultivated. It's in all of your media. It's in all of what you push. You've made people fucking miserable. You've made young people fucking miserable. And that's on you. That has nothing to do with guns. That's on you. You turn on social media right now. This is all they give you nothing to aspire for. They tell you that you're going to be a miserable person. They speak that shit to existence. They tell you, all these young people like you, if you were to get on any sort of website or not website, more so like on social media, and you get all these like leftists that control it, and they basically say that, well, it's unfair. The life is so unfair that, and it's not fair to be fair, but they look at it from the perspective that you can do nothing about it, right? When they tell you that it's a pipe dream to basically go from being in a lesser economic situation to a better one, you're telling people that they're doomed for failure. That makes people fucking miserable because they look at it like, well, there's nothing that I can fucking do. My life sucks. I've had the shit end of the stick, and there's nothing I can do to improve it. All the media around it tells me that. All the stuff or they say that I have to depend on the external. Self-reliance is not something that you guys actually want to instill in people. People being self-reliant, people being able to solve their own problems. Those are beautiful things, because what it does is it teaches folks not to rely upon someone else to fix their own problem, which is really all of what this culture has kind of cultivated. It's that your world can't move unless someone else moves it for you. So when you're stuck in a fucking rut, you have no way to get out of it because you're sitting here waiting for someone else to reach their hand out and save your motherfucking ass. And that hand's never going to come. And you wonder why these young people are miserable. You wonder why someone could be so deranged because the gun's been there. Right? Why are mass shootings, particularly in schools, where did those come from? People, your parents, most likely, if you lived in the South or you lived in rural areas, you can feel me on this. What your people would drive to the schools, to the high schools, and the trucks had shotguns or rifles, all of that. We didn't have these problems. So what happened between them? What happened between this? I'd argue that it's the nihilism, it's the black pilling of America. Either way, though, see, you want people to throw money at the situation, or you think you can legislate your way out of this shit by throwing more money at the state so they can reroute funds to piss it away. You think that's a solution. But all you are advocating is that you make it difficult for more people to be able to arm themselves. Being reliant upon an external factor, the police, agents of the state, to save you in the event that, I don't know, some criminal says, I don't really give a shit about the gun laws. There's already so many amounts of guns that are already out there. They're going to remain out there, and you can't just ban them and they're just going to go away like that, especially considering the geography and what could happen south of the border, and that you're not going to solve the issue. You couldn't solve it by banning drugs. Yeah, for whatever reason, you think that you're going to do that with guns, and that's going to equal people being safer by having less guns on the streets, when all you are doing is criminalizing people that would either not ever do that, or more importantly, people that would be first responders and stop them from doing that in the event that people want to go inflict pain on the populace by way of shooting up the motherfucking place. But you're wrong. At the end of the day, there's nothing to compromise on. There's no middle ground here. When you're right, and the other person is wrong, you don't meet them halfway for the sake of coddling their feelings. There's no compromise to be made. All gun laws are infringements. If anything, we need to be moving the opposite way, getting rid of stuff like the National Firearms Act. Why is it in certain pockets of the world or certain pockets of the country, people are discouraged to go get armed? They have to jump through all these different hoops. You can't have certain magazine capacities and certain guns you can't have. The state can have them, of course, but you can't. We need to be getting rid of those. Not moving the other way around, but you're wrong. There's no compromise to be made, centrist. There's no extreme position that I have that I must somehow meet the other people halfway. No, they're wrong, period. They're wrong. You want to criminalize for the sake of your own emotionalism, because we know that is not a solution. It's never been a solution. We know that it does not work. We have evidence that it does not work when you consider the areas that are in this country that have very strict gun laws and have among some of the highest gun violence, gun homicides, murders, not caused by rifles, by the way. The vast, not even close, vast majority of murders and homicides that are done by way of firearms are done by handguns. That's not my opinion. Again, this is why I can't argue with you or meet you halfway, because you're fucking wrong and you're retarded. The dynamic duo in the worst couple of things that you want to be simultaneously. Retarded and wrong. So I can't meet you halfway. There's nothing to meet you halfway on. You need to be coming my way, because you're the one wrong and I'm the one right here. And the folks that advocate that are correct. So this is my thing. If you want to solve the problem, I get it. But don't think that and expect other people to just go through the motions with you just because you feel like you must do something. You want a virtue signal or whatever it is. You want to make people think that you give a shit about what's going on. See, we're not doing that shit here. It's not happening. We're not going through the motions for you, to coddle your feelings, to coddle your emotions, to make you feel like, I get it, it's a tragic situation. Nobody wants to see people be killed, shot and killed innocently, especially children. That's just fucked up. It makes you feel some kind of way. Makes me feel some kind of way, of course. However, what I won't do is sit here and act like what you're proposing is going to fix the problem, or that me meeting you halfway between the right position and the wrong position is somehow going to solve the problem. No, fuck you. And everybody that advocates, like I said, this is one of the issues, man. I will draw my line in the sand. You've drawn it. I'm going to draw it as well. I'll follow you. I'll shadow you, because of all things, we can sit up and agree and we can disagree all day long on various other topics. Well, we can't agree to disagree, or because one is you want to advocate acts of aggression upon me and people like me. It's not going the other way. I'm not advocating that you be forced to get a gun. I have to be armed. I'm not forcing you to do that, but you wanting to force other people, making it more difficult for them, or deciding what kind of weaponry arbitrarily that they're allowed to have. Because again, most people don't even get killed by rifles. That's a fact. That's not my opinion. The people that die from firearms, most of them, the vast majority of them, I think actually statistically, if I'm not mistaken, and feel free to fact check me on, according to the most recent data, more people have been killed by way of cutting objects and knives than they have been by way of specifically a rifle. You're wrong on this topic. Celebrities are dickheads. And by the way, they're going to have the special people that are allowed to carry whatever type of weaponry. Best believe it's going to be the elite, be it the politicians and the celebrities that are going to be protected by that. But you want to advocate that myself, the community that I'm around, we can't have that type of weapon. Why? Because you think we're going to shoot up the place? But the state that you depend on, that you want us to depend on, is standing outside for an hour as people get slaughtered. You want us to depend on them? No. You're wrong. And there's no meeting halfway on this.